Today we're talking about something a little controversial.
Not that it should be, but it's definitely something that's not talked about a lot.
A little secret.
And that is money. Money as an influencer, content creator, just money from being online. Where it comes from.
Hello, and welcome back to Just Send It with Sarah.
And Mel.
All right, so we prepared some numbers so that we had like the most accurate thing to talk about here. So we literally it took me so long to figure this out. I think it says something about my bookkeeping, but alas.
All of our 2024 numbers are here. So how do you want to break it down?
All right, so let's start by saying this really quick. Neither of us are full-time creators.
Nope.
We both do have a job.
Yes.
And we also both post on slightly different platforms, I feel.
Yeah, for sure. I post mostly on Instagram and TikTok. So Instagram is, my audience is like 150K and TikTok is about 800,000. Although last year's numbers are probably slightly different, but you get the idea.
Yes. And I represent the more smaller creators here. I have around, I think, 25,000 on Instagram, and then my YouTube's a little larger, around 40,000 at this point, but last year was less. And so, yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see. Oh, and I don't post on TikTok. Oops. I do a little bit, but not a lot. But I think it's going to be interesting to just see the difference between the two of us, because I know we've talked about this like personally.
Yeah.
But we're going to share it because transparency, and I think it's good.
Yes, I think it's good for people to talk about this stuff, especially in an industry that we don't have a lot of like knowledge about.
Exactly. I feel like we've both talked about this where like a lot of creators don't share information about how much they make, about brand deals, and then it kind of screws over a lot of other creators that end up like not charging enough.
How do you know where to start?
Exactly.
How do you know what you're supposed to be charging for? How do you know that you're supposed to be charging extra for exclusivity or whatever they put in the contract?
Right.
So
exactly.
Let's talk about
it. Let's do it. Okay, cool. So I guess we'll just like break it down. Should we just like say our full number right off the bat?
Yeah.
Just to start?
Jump in.
Okay. So
dive in.
Do you want to go first? I'm nervous.
Okay, sure. I can go first. So from 2024, my total earnings from social media, just as like an influencer content creator, were 131,000.
Slay.
Yes. And we'll break it down here in a little bit.
That's so awesome.
That's
so that's everything that you made from any type of content creation, brand deals, anything. And we're going to break it all down as well.
So brand deals, affiliate, UGC, basically anytime I was posting content online and making money for it.
Incredible. I love it. Okay. And then mine, over the course of 2024, I made around 50,000 from brand deals, from UGC, from platform money, all the things.
I love it. That's amazing.
We love to see it.
We love to see it.
So I know one of the big things that we wanted to do was break it down. So for you, Mel, what is your number one source of income, like for all of that? Just curious.
Brand partnerships, 100%. Like literally, it's not even close. It's like 98.5%.
Oh my gosh.
Comes from working with brands and creating content for me to post about them on my platforms.
Yeah. Okay, so maybe like let's talk a little bit about brand partnerships.
Oh, wait, we have a special guest.
Yes, come on.
Come here, Lucy. Lucy.
Come on.
Up, up.
Come on.
Just fuck
we
you.
want you. Come here.
Come here, baby girl.
Oh, yes.
Lucy. Everybody, this is Lucy.
Got any words for the camera?
I think we might have gotten some ASMR there. Good girl.
You're so good. All right, she'll join us here.
Yes.
All right, so let's break down some brand partnerships. Do you have a number of like how much you actually made just specifically from brand partnerships out of your total?
Yes. So out of my total, it was 125,000.
Okay, so that is majority.
Literally, whatever the math is, percentage. Yeah.
That's so awesome. So just for me, just so that I can compare here, I separated brand deals and UGC, which we'll talk about. Well, we're going to break down everything. But just from brand deals, 10,208.
Okay.
It's very different.
So most of yours came from UGC.
Yeah.
That's
so we're
amazing.
going to have like two totally different answers here for things.
Yeah.
So let's break down brand deals. Where do you personally get most of your brand deals from? Like what platform, I guess?
Yeah. So I will say all of this too. I meant to write it down, but all of these were from inbound partnerships. I actually didn't do any pitching last year because I was very busy.
Whoa.
But so out of the total deals, I had 24. 3 of them were TikTok only, which is shocking because TikTok is my biggest platform.
Okay.
16 were from Instagram only, and then the remaining 5 were a combo of Instagram and TikTok.
Okay.
I will say that looks very different this year, but that's what it was last year.
Wow. Okay. So I want to share mine too as well, but just like a question for you. Like, do you charge the same amount for your Instagram and for your TikTok, or do you make it different?
No, it is different. And I will say too, something that I think not a lot of people talk about. I have a manager. So my manager takes 20% of all of my deals that come in. So the number that you guys are seeing is pre my manager's cut. But she is usually the one who goes in and will negotiate. And so she has specific rates for me for TikTok, which are higher, and then Instagram, which are obviously a little bit lower.
Right, which makes a lot of sense because of the numbers.
The
and
audience
things.
size, yeah.
You're so right, though. We maybe have to do a whole episode on managers because as someone who doesn't have a manager, it's completely different. At this point, since I'm a little bit smaller, like I rely a lot on pitching, whereas like inbounds don't come as frequently for me, or a lot of times they're just a lot lower amounts. So like it's like not really worth it to take it.
For sure.
So I think that would be a whole other episode that maybe we can do because that's a really interesting perspective. I think.
I like that. Okay, but I want to hear about you because all of that from UGC is amazing.
Yeah. So let me break down brand deals first. Majority of my brand deals came from Instagram, with YouTube being my second because it's my second most it's my most followed platform, but it's my second most, I guess, one that I use the most. It's hard to make consistent YouTube videos like it is on Instagram.
I get it.
So for Instagram, around 60% of the brand deals. I had 22 paid brand deals in 2024, which is interesting because you had a lot less, but because you charge more, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. I think that's crazy because I had 24. Like we were basically the same, which is 2 a month if you think about it.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
So I had 22 paid brand deals. I did a couple gifting as well, which I didn't count here.
I didn't count it, yeah.
Around 60% of those were Instagram only.
Okay.
25% YouTube only. And then 5% being on Instagram and TikTok, 5% Instagram and YouTube Shorts, 5% TikTok only.
Okay.
So I didn't do a lot of TikTok, and a couple of them wanted like cross-platform things,
Right.
but majority were Instagram only, with second being YouTube only.
I think this is something that's really interesting because I don't know about you, but I've seen even in the last year a big shift of brands coming for TikTok first content now. But even in 2024, which is like 4 years since TikTok really made a big splash in the content creation space, I feel like brands are finally taking TikTok a little bit more seriously and seeking creators on TikTok.
Yeah.
Whereas even just last year, the fact that both of ours, even though the Instagram wasn't our biggest platform, that's what brands were looking for, I think is a little crazy.
So I'm curious because I know we had talked about this as well. We should probably mention how much we charge for one video. This very wildly differs between the two of us, which is always an issue. But here we are.
I will say I actually didn't write this down, but I'll give a little. So my rates were a little bit lower last year, and it really depends. My manager is really good about, she'll pitch a rate depending on what the brand is. So usually if I have a small brand or a little local spot here and something that's a little bit smaller, we know that they're not going to have a big budget. We'll usually just say, hey, give them a discount, cut the rates by X percentage. But if it's a big boy brand that is coming, she's going to shoot that up way higher.
Up.
And usually too, the reason that the rates at first will sound a little bit crazy is we're always expecting brands to negotiate down.
Right.
So we always aim high, and then they'll usually meet us somewhere closer to the middle. That being said, if I had to just, because I didn't write this down, but for TikTok last year, we were probably charging $5,500 for a video. And for Instagram, my platform's grown a lot in the last year. I think probably $3,500 or $4,000 last year.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's really cool to see. And I know we've talked a lot about rates and how, again, nobody talks about it. So if you don't have a manager, it's really easy to not know how much to charge.
Right.
Which was where I was at last year. So I also don't have the numbers of how much I charged at the beginning of I really don't remember.
Yeah.
And it went up as I
and
grew,
it changes.
and
Yeah.
as I got better, and as my portfolio grew as well. One thing just to note too, if you are a smaller creator watching, when I first started, I wasn't getting paid deals, and I did a lot of either gifted deals, just to build up my portfolio,
Right.
a lot of that.
We all did.
So I was doing a lot of that in the beginning of the year last year, and then as we progressed, I increased more.
Yeah.
But towards the end of last year, I landed at around $650 per video.
Okay.
Which you told me I need to raise, and I wouldn't have known that.
And I stand by it. Raise those prices.
which is really interesting. So I'm happy that we're having like this talk because
Yeah.
I just think no one talks about it.
Nobody talks about it, and it really does often feel like you're just like throwing a number into the wind, and you don't know if it's realistic. The worst is when you throw a number. There's two things that happen, right? That like you just want to like go like this. You throw out a number, and the brand immediately like, great, let's do it. And you're like, dang it, I should have asked for more money. Because
Yep.
if they don't even come back and negotiate, you're like, oh, this
I
is already,
lowballed
I
myself.
lowballed myself. Or you'll throw out a number and then they just ghost you. And you're like, but wait, I would do it for less. Like, come back.
That's so true. And I really love that you also brought up the fact that like you charge differently depending on the brands because I've done that too.
Yeah.
And there are certain brands that I know are going to align so well with my audience. And if they don't have the budget that I'm proposing, I usually will do it for less if it's something that I feel really aligns
Yep.
or, like just
Exactly.
something that I'm excited about doing. I have a really good video idea.
Yes. I think that really plays into it a lot too.
Okay, so I want to ask you too, because this always varies for creators, and I had no idea what to do with this when I first started. But what do you do about like usage rights and exclusivity and all that stuff that we always talk about that creators usually don't know that they can charge more for, but you absolutely should.
But you absolutely should. And I think that I'm so glad you were like in my brain because I was just about to say something about that. Because when you're looking at the like overall numbers, it seems really big. It's a lot of money, but usage rights and exclusivity is usually where most of the income ends up coming in, for me at least, because should we break down like what it even means?
Yeah, let's break it down first.
So usage rights is when the brand can take your video and use it in like paid ads. So they're going to take ad spend from their like ad budget money, and they're going to throw it behind your video so that it gets amplified to a much larger audience that isn't just yours. And so from there, that's usually where they're like bringing in sales, they're bringing in whatever their goals are.
And I think it's also important to note too that there's like two types of that. They can either like whitelist your video,
Right.
aka like boost your reel on Instagram, so it's like still connected to your account
And get some more views.
Right. Or they can use it in their own separate ads that have nothing to do with your account. It's just like your face.
Just your face and your likeness and the content that you created.
Right.
So for that, usually we'll charge on a monthly basis. So if like they want usage rights for 3 months, we'll be like, okay, it's sometimes like 20% of the total fee per month. So the longer they want it, the more money that you're making. Because also, if you think about it, they're putting hundreds of thousands of dollars of ad spend behind videos. They can pay you for that too.
Right. Yeah, I love that we're bringing this up too, because like when I first started, like I said, I had no idea what to charge for that. I remember a creator friend telling me that the like average, and I probably looked it up on Google too, to be honest, the average like of what you would charge is between 20 and 30% of the flat fee of your video per month. So like I broke down what I typically would do. So like for my video, that's $650. With a 30% exclusivity, which is on the higher end, it would be an extra $195 a month that they want to use it.
Yeah.
And typically, I would personally offer this to brands in like either, okay, here's what it looks like for 30 days, 90 days, whatever you want to use it for. So like for 30 days, that would make my $650 video up to $845.
Yeah.
Which adds,
Yes,
a significant
it adds
amount.
up.
Yeah.
It absolutely adds up. And like this is my biggest piece of advice that I will give any creator, anybody who just wants to start making money from posting content online, is read your contracts so thoroughly.
Yes.
Because even if you haven't discussed usage rights or exclusivity and they're just like, hey, we just want to contract you for like an Instagram reel or a TikTok, brands, they're a business. They're just trying to like, do the best by themselves. They're going to try to make as much money from you as possible, but they'll always sneak it in. And you have no idea, when I was getting started, the amount of contracts that I signed because I didn't even know to look for usage rights in perpetuity or whatever. Right. And I signed so many contracts that now these brands own my content forever.
Right,
like
so
they can use my content forever until like eons and eons past. If the brands get sold and like, let's say, I made a content for a dog brand and now Mercedes bought that brand. Now Mercedes can use my face and my likeness from the content that I made forever.
And they only paid you like $100 for it or whatever.
Yeah, because I didn't know any better. So scour your contract and don't hesitate to negotiate, because again, a lot of brands will just sneak it in there and you just say, hey, I charge extra for this, or like, let's remove it. It's usually,
I always will look for that as well. And if I see like anything in perpetuity or whatever, unless they're paying me a ton of money and it's like totally worth it, whatever, I will always ask to remove it, and
Yep.
usually they're okay with it,
Yep.
or they're even willing to charge more, which is pretty cool.
Exactly.
At
Yeah.
least they know to do that.
So that's usage rights. And then exclusivity, which is another big one that definitely you should be charging more for, is when the brand, let's say it's like a workout clothing brand, and they'll come and say, hey, we want you to post content about us, but you cannot post content about any other clothing brand for 2 months after your ad goes live, because obviously they just want to make sure that like when people are coming to you, that's the only brand that they're seeing that is relevant. That's something else that you should be charging extra for.
See, like I always get really nervous to do things with exclusivity because I don't know, like as a creator, it can be hard. Like if I've had brands say like, "Oh, we want you to be exclusive with us for a year."
Yeah.
That's like really putting yourself in a hole of like, what if another brand comes and they're willing to pay a ton more, and now
Right.
you're contractually bound to this one brand to not work with any similar brands for a year. That's really hard. So for you, I'm just curious, what's the longest that you've ever done like an exclusive deal with, or that you would do an exclusive deal with? Like, would you do a year?
I would do a year if they're going to pay for it.
Right.
And I will say it is, having a manager is so scary sometimes, because brands will come and they'll be like, hey, we want to contract you for this and we want exclusivity for a year. And she'll be like, okay, that's going to be $120K. And I'm like,
Oh my God.
ma'am, you cannot be throwing numbers out like that. And she's like, they're just going to come back and be like, actually, how about we move it to a month? And then, they'll negotiate
Right.
from there. But I'm like, you cannot be saying that.
Well, it works.
I mean, it works. I would absolutely do it for a year if they're paying for it. But I think it also really depends on what the exclusivity is on. Is it something that I post about often and that I get a lot of opportunities for? Or is it something that like, maybe I'm not really posting about all that often, or like I'm not concerned about another brand coming in. But usually I think the longest that I've done that I off the top of my head has been 3 months. One was for pet food, which is a big thing because I post a lot about my dogs, and they paid well for it. And then most recently was for a hotel chain. That was also something else that we had to like negotiate fairly for, because it was something that, I post about frequently.
Right. Yeah, I think that's like the biggest thing. Like, don't put yourself in a box where now you're stuck with this like long exclusivity deal.
Yes.
I think the longest one I ever did was like 6 months, but it was like a very niche product. Like, and it was a service for
Yeah,
creators or whatever. But
exactly.
It was very, very niche, so it was fine.
If it was like a shampoo brand came to me and they were like, hey, we want a 6-month exclusivity, I'm like, okay, I don't post about this generally, so I don't foresee this being an issue. But if
Yeah.
it was something like an airline, I would be like, no, sorry,
Yeah.
babe, we can't do that.
Yeah. So, just out of curiosity, this is kind of like off topic, but a little bit not. Do you ever, so if a brand ever says no to you, do you ever offer UGC? Just because I know you don't do as much as I do, so I'm just curious.
Yeah, I sometimes will. It depends on how much I really want it, and like if it's something that I feel like I would do really well with. But generally, no. But I have a feeling your answer is different.
Yeah, it is a little bit different. Being that I maybe don't have a huge platform, like I acknowledge that I still have a platform.
A huge, that's
I know, I
decently
acknowledge
sized
it.
platform.
But I noticed that a lot of brands want to pigeonhole my size of creators into a lot smaller of a rate. Right. And so even like my rate might be too high for them. Right. And so, which is interesting because then they'll pay you. And I'm like,
No,
which is funny. So
brands are sneaky.
yeah, a little sneaky. But with that being said, what I'll do is I'll typically offer UGC and I'll charge a little bit less, because if it's not going on my platform, then I'm willing to charge a little bit less. It's a little bit, I guess not easier because you're still creating the same video, but they're not using my audience to then get the word out.
They're just using your creativity and your face and your likeness.
Right, exactly. So I guess for anyone who maybe doesn't know, like UGC basically is user generated content. So it's where a brand will hire you to use your face, but not necessarily tie it back to your platform.
Right.
Which I love, being that I love being a content creator, right? So like making money for content. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's really awesome. I think it's cool that a lot of creators are able to do this stuff. And I find that those deals are a little bit easier for me to get.
Yeah.
I never get well, not never, but I rarely ever get inbounds for my platform. but I get a lot of UGC.
Because brands are seeing the quality content that you're creating and being like, hey, I want that content, but for me to use.
Right.
So I'm curious if you have the numbers, how do you charge, like, how do you charge differently for that? Like having just something that is just UGC or something that is going to be posted on your platforms?
Yeah, it's honestly really similar. So I usually start my UGC at around $450 for a video, whereas I start my brand deals at $650.
Okay.
So I just charge a little bit less, but typically with UGC, they oftentimes want multiple videos at a time. If you have a good portfolio, they'll see that. And a lot of times they'll be like, oh, can we just hire you for like 3 videos at a time? And that's where I'll get like bigger deals, right? Or I've personally done a lot of UGC that's ongoing. So like for a brand that needs a face to them on a monthly, like regular basis, like the founders don't want to be the face, which is understandable. They'll hire a creator to then make, 5 videos a month or whatever, which I've done quite a bit of. So that's where most of my income that you see on this, like my UGC income from last year was $38,000.
Yeah.
That's mainly, a lot of it is from recurring deals of brands that want more and more and more throughout the year.
Now I have a question. We were just talking about usage rights. Do you include usage rights with your UGC? Like, can they use your content forever? Is there a limit there?
It depends on the brand. If it's like a one-time ad, I usually will charge for usage rights because they're going to run that. They know how long they're going to run that ad. And if they want to run it longer, then they can
pay
charge
for more.
Right. For the times that I've worked with brands on a more organic basis where they want like 5 videos a month from me and they're like not necessarily running ads, I usually just give them the rights to that content.
Okay.
I charge a lot more for that. It's a monthly contract, so it's consistent income for me, which is a huge perk, obviously.
Yes.
And so whenever I would do that, it would be, like I said, maybe I would give a little bit of a discount because they're doing so many videos at a time. But with the usage in perpetuity kind of, I would, charge a little bit more, I guess. Does that make sense?
No, that totally makes sense. So I have a question. How do you mentioned a few times having a portfolio. Is your social media your portfolio? Do you have like a separate thing that you send to people?
Good question. No, I have a portfolio that I made. So like I made a media kit, and that's what I use when I pitch to brands. Okay. So I personally made it in Canva.
Love
It's
it.
nice.
I love Canva.
I
love
all the
Canva.
videos there, so they can just like play it. It looks really good. I'll have to show it to you. It's very cute.
Cute.
But that's what I'll send because I do a lot of pitching. Being that I don't get as many inbound requests. I do a lot of pitching myself, and that's how probably 90% of the deals that I got this year
that's amazing.
Found me. Yeah.
Hustle. I love
hustle.
it. You gotta hustle. I have an interesting question for you because this happens to me all the time at my current corporate job. Is it weird to see yourself in ads? Like, do you see that often? Because it happens to me and I'm like, oh, I stop talking, girl.
Yeah, it's really weird. A lot of times, I do see myself in ads a lot, which is really weird. Or I'll have friends that message me that are like, oh my God, I saw you in a sneaker ad. And I'm like, oh, that's so weird. Oh
Please don't tell me about it next time.
Yeah, it's super weird. Yeah, I've had a lot of people, like, even if I don't see them myself, people see them. And it's very strange. Or they'll tag me in them, and I'm like, oh. But no, I'm fine with it. It's funny, I guess.
That kind of reminds me, going back to why charging for usage rights is so important, is one of my earlier deals with, I'm not going to name the brand, but it was with a fast food chain that is local to the area. And I was so excited to work with them that I just signed the contract and submitted. And then they ran my post as ads for a year. And it was getting millions of constant views and comments, and people would be sending it to me not you being the face of the brand. And I'm like, I don't know what I did, but here we are. I would get my ads all the time.
That's crazy.
It was, yeah.
That would drive me crazy to see myself over and over and over and over again. I mean, sometimes it happens. I've been seeing myself a lot recently.
Yeah, same. Sounds fame.
Okay, let's talk about some of the other streams of income, because as creators, we have a lot.
Yes.
Affiliate. I gotta be honest, for me, affiliate, joining affiliate programs and making money from affiliates, not at all a significant income source for me.
No.
In any way, shape, or form.
Same. Me either. I think literally out of my total earnings from last year, 5,000 came from affiliate, and that was all from Amazon affiliate. I hate having to join individual brands' affiliate programs. It's just a lot of extra work to keep up with. It's like you got to keep up with the codes. I like to do it just like if I'm going to do affiliate, it's going to be something like Amazon where I can just link like one storefront or like one thing that, you know, I can send multiple products through. And I barely even post about it anyway.
Right.
So it just kind of like sits in my bio. And it just, if, you know, if I have maybe one viral product or something that I post about, like, but you don't earn a lot of money from it. At least I don't.
Yeah, well, the thing is that, like, if you do go all in on it, sure. But considering that you get so many brand deals, it's like, why spend time doing that when I'm
Right.
making a lot more money and it's a lot
Right.
easier maybe and whatever, like, to just do the brand deals? I think affiliates are really good for newer creators, like smaller
Yeah.
creators who maybe aren't getting brand deals. Maybe they don't want to do UGC, but they have like a small audience. You don't underestimate the power of smaller audiences as well. Because like when I had a smaller account, like I'm talking like 5,000 followers, I would make a lot more money with affiliates than I do now.
Yeah.
And I think it's just because I promoted a lot more affiliates. But yeah, like micro influencers have a lot of pull.
They have a lot of power because they have a smaller, more engaged audience. And you'll see this like all over. Anytime anybody talks about it, the bigger you get, the smaller your engagement gets because the more audience fallout that you have, the more it's just you have such a larger audience that people aren't seeing your content. They see you and they don't really care quite as much, or that maybe they don't relate to you as much, but you have that like the small micro influencers with 5,000, 10,000 followers, even smaller sometimes, where like they've built this like really core group of audience, and their audience is like, you know what, hell yeah, you're posting that, I'm gonna buy it. Yeah, you're doing this, I'm gonna support it. So definitely, just because you don't have 100,000 followers or whatever doesn't mean that you can't be making money, either affiliate or brand deals, because you have a much, and brands are starting to see that you have a much more powerful audience than a lot of the creators who aren't getting that high engagement.
Yeah, I got my very first brand deal before I even had 5,000 followers.
That's amazing.
I mean, and it's possible. And I think nowadays it's even easier to get, hopefully, for micro influencers to get
For sure.
smaller, to get deals because companies, like you said, are seeing the value
Yeah.
in them, which I think is really cool. And
Yes.
I'm hoping we see more of that.
Yes, and I think TikTok's changed the game a lot because of that, which if you guys haven't seen the first episode, is actually what we talked about. So go back and watch that one because
all about TikTok
all
and
about
trends
how
and
TikTok has changed the game for social media.
Everything for us.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So did you say the number that you made from Amazon? Because I have mine and it's like
Yes.
embarrassing.
I mean, it was $5,000.
Oh yeah, you said yours. Mine was $84. So I did make a little bit of money from affiliate, but like nothing to,
Yeah.
I made $84 from Amazon. Again, not really promoting a lot of stuff. I made $37 from one single company's affiliate program that I
Okay.
guess I must have sold a couple things for. $19 from another company, because I do join quite a bit of like company affiliate programs.
Yeah.
And then $400 from another company that had like a referral program.
Okay.
So
It's definitely
Not
a
a
lot.
lot.
It's definitely more of like that passive income, which is great. Like throw something up on your Amazon storefront, throw something up for like your favorite product, have a code. People love a code. I love a code.
I love a code too.
I love a code. I
You guys
love to
me
save money.
10%? Like, heck yeah. Yeah, like also like you said, it can kind of just like sit on your page.
Yeah.
It can earn some passive income, but I think just in general, because the model of affiliate marketing, like the amounts that you make are so small
Yeah.
that it just takes a lot more time. So like for me to make $84 on Amazon, it was probably from a product. Honestly, there was this one water bottle that I shared all the time because I just loved it. So I was like, let me share this water bottle with people. Like, but it would probably earn me like $2.
Yeah.
So like it was like probably like 1 million sales of that water bottle that got me to $84, which is random. But
Yeah.
yeah, like,
The margins are definitely smaller.
Yeah.
That kind of it segues me into something else that I don't really make a lot of money from, but I don't know about you because you're a YouTuber, is the platform monetizations. Like, do you make money from the platforms themselves? Because I really don't.
Yeah, I do. Not a lot. So I do have the numbers from that.
Spill the tea.
All right. So when it comes to the platform pay, I think one thing to note is that last year I didn't have as many followers as I do now. And I also didn't post as much on YouTube. For me, YouTube is easily the monetization place
I mean, yeah.
for a creator. So I broke down the numbers that I made. For the entire year of 2024, I made $158 from Instagram, which is not a lot. And then from YouTube, I made 1,429.
Okay.
But the thing to note is that this year to date, which we're only in March right now, I've already made 660. So
Yeah.
surpass that
For sure.
likely. Yeah. And yeah.
Do you are you in the TikTok creator fund at all?
No,
Okay.
I'm not.
I was in the TikTok creator fund for a couple months back when they like first opened it in like 2021 or whenever that was. And I hated it. I didn't, it felt like a lot. I was like constantly like, how much are my videos making? Oh, I got 2 cents from this one. Like, yay. It just like, for my mental health was not, and you're not really making that much money from it.
Yeah.
The same I feel with Instagram, and I feel like that's a lot of creators' like biggest complaint too, is the like Instagram like bonuses. Like you have to either post so much or so often to actually be making any money from it. And even when your videos do go viral, you end up getting like, yay,
Yeah.
$20.
Yeah. No, I mean, I literally talked about this with you the other day. Like, I had a video that got like 3 million views on Instagram and it made me $20. And then I had a video that got 3 million views on YouTube and it made like $400.
Yeah.
So just like the difference is wild, and they're both short form content. It was like I don't think it was the same video, but regardless,
Close
like,
enough, yeah.
the same type of video, like both went super viral, and for that difference is like kind of wild.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think platform monetization is a great extra thing, but I always tell creators like don't make that your main goal.
Right.
Because it's unstable, it's unpredictable, it varies from month to month.
Yeah. I think that's probably too why you're seeing a lot of like your favorite TikTokers or your favorite Instagrammers now be like, hey, follow me on YouTube. Like, let's go post on YouTube, because YouTube has been and will continue to be the best. Lucy. Will continue to be the best platform for like platform specific monetization. They're known to be the one that pays the most, the ones that like actually value the like content that creators are posting the most. So definitely I'm trying to get into YouTube. I'm this close to hitting my monetization.
Yes, it takes a while.
It does take
I
a
think
while.
That's the difference too, is that it's harder to get monetized on YouTube than the other
Yeah.
ones, at least in my experience. And I monetized back when the numbers were way higher than they are now, which is like, I can't even believe I did that.
Crazy.
But yeah, I think it's really cool. Once you get into that program, it's great, but then you got to keep up with it. Otherwise they kick you out.
Oh, good to know.
Yeah.
You can't just like join it and then like ghost.
No, you have to continue posting.
Dang it. Okay.
So yeah, it's interesting. So I know that we had pulled up a couple questions too of like, just like common things that we both wanted to add into this conversation, because like people don't really talk about it. So why don't we dive a little bit into that? 'Cause
Okay.
I want to get a little
Controversial.
extra juicy.
A little extra juicy. I have something right off the top of my head
Okay,
that
go.
drives me crazy about this industry, and that is the payment terms.
Yes.
And I think it's a lot of the reasons why people like ourselves decide to continue having a full-time job, to have that stable, constant source of income. Or why you will see creators that like often talk about like having credit card debt, or like, you know, being broke, or like joking about being broke even though they're making thousands of dollars from content. And that's because the payment terms are so bad. It's
Right.
usually net 30, net 60, or net 90. So you won't get paid out until 30, 60, 90 days after your contract ends. Not when you sign the contract, not when you post the content, but like the period of whatever campaign you're signed on for. So for example, I've had this campaign that I signed in January of this year. The content isn't going to go live until June of this year.
Oh my gosh.
And the contract terms end in August of this year, and the payment terms are net 45. So come August, 45 days from that is when I'm finally going to get paid for something that we've been working on since January of this year.
That is crazy. But you're 100% right. Like, I've seen a lot of creators talk about that, where they're like, no, like, I don't have money right now. I just did like a huge brand deal with some huge company, but they don't get paid for like months. And that's like so normal, which is so weird to me.
And the worst part too is because there's no standard in the industry. We don't have a union. We don't have like HR, whatever. Like, we don't have a legal. Sometimes you like the brands, you just have to chase them down to pay too. Like even after, like, let's say you have a contract and it says net 30. It's been months sometimes and I still have not gotten paid, and you're constantly like having to send an email, hey, following up, checking in on payment, and it's just like they just kind of get away with it, and I don't understand it.
Yeah, I've literally had brands where I've like chased them down for like 2, 3, 4 months after the payment was supposed to be due. And I'm like, where is my money?
It's exhausting. And it's the reason why and first of all, I love my corporate job because I really like having a little bit of a separate career, even though it's still in social media. But a lot of it too is like, I love a stable paycheck. I'm very happy with what I do on social media, but the stress of not knowing when I'm going to get paid, I simply cannot deal.
Yeah, because it differs every month, and that's really hard. So I always love seeing a lot of creators get into more of like the UGC, kind of like what I did, because it was more stable.
Yeah.
Or I was a freelance social media manager, so like that also was more stability. You're getting paid, maybe it's still a little shaky, but you're getting paid more
Right.
stably than just relying on brand deals or affiliates or whatever. So it's cool to see that. I'm excited to see like the future of the careers of different creators.
Honestly, somebody should start a creator union.
Yeah. No, seriously. We hope to see it
We
coming.
hope to see it. Okay, what else?
Do you have anything like a regret or like a missed opportunity or like just something that you made a mistake on? We can give people a lesson.
Ooh.
I mean, just personally speaking, I think probably mistakes I've made in the past were a lot of things that we said, like contract, not reading contracts, not understanding what I'm signing before I sign it. Like, right? Like, look up what usage terms means.
Yes.
I mean, usage rights and exclusivity. Like, what does that actually mean?
Yeah.
Like, learn about it.
Ooh, I have one. And it's tied into that, but I think a lot of people don't realize this, but if you're signing a brand partnership through a creator platform like Aspire IQ or Coley, the platforms themselves in the like terms of service have a lot of this already built into it. So by you just like clicking apply, you're already a lot of times agreeing to usage rights and perpetuity, to giving up like all of these different things of the content that you're creating that is already getting built into your contract for whatever brand that you're going to be working with. So be careful with, I love me an influencer platform because it's a great way to find like deals or find campaigns, but be really careful with them because a lot of the times that stuff is already built into the things that you're just signing by hitting like the apply button.
Yeah, like the terms and conditions that like all of us don't read. Like you really should.
Yeah, literally. Just again, like what you said, read your contracts, read through everything, because you don't want to screw yourself over in the long run.
And another one just for creators in general, disclose your ads. I know we talk about this all the time. It's like one of our biggest pet peeves, but seriously, disclose your ads.
Yes.
It is the worst when you see a big creator that doesn't put the hashtag ad, doesn't turn on the paid sponsorship thing. I know that like sometimes people say that, oh, it lowers my views, whatever, but like you are getting paid for this thing. You deserve, like your audience deserves to know that it is an ad.
Yeah.
Like,
and here's the thing too, and I struggle with this a lot of like the brand's going to hate me. It's going to tank. It's not going to do well. They get it. Like the brands get it. They do this. This is what the influencer teams do and handle. They know that ads don't perform as well as organic content. They know that turning on the paid partnership toggle or like having, hashtag sponsored and all of these different things is potentially going to impact performance. They're not expecting, at least good brands and good brand partners aren't going to be expecting your ad content to perform the way that your viral standard organic content does. So it's scary, but they get it. Don't like put it all on yourself.
Right. And again, your audience deserves to know, you know, like you can't like hide a sponsorship.
Yeah. I feel like we need to do this again, maybe like halfway through 2025, because I have a feeling our numbers, I mean, I can speak from what I've signed so far this year. 2025 is shaping up to be a really good year. I think
awesome.
Brands are finally like, I don't know, I feel like 2024 was weird and like post-COVID, everything was like a little bit of a shift. So I feel like maybe we should do this in like 6 months and kind of compare numbers of like how much we've grown our accounts, but also how much that's impacted our earnings.
Yeah, that would be really cool to do. And also like, just to throw this out there too, like I personally have been doing less brand deals right now because I'm so busy in my life and I'm like going crazy. I think it's a good reminder for other creators too that like sometimes, again, like things will fluctuate. And that's the cool thing about being a creator is that you have the ability to like say no to certain deals and like kind of tone it down when life gets crazy. So like while you might be having the best month ever for your brand deals, I have a feeling I probably won't. I mean, the best year ever, I probably won't. because of the fact that I'm doing less.
You're busy.
And
You're
that's
also getting
fine.
married. So
That's what I mean. Yeah, I have a lot going on my plate. So, like, and I think that that's like a good reminder for creators because
Yes.
I used to feel really bad if I would see, like, oh, but last year I did so much better.
The comparison game is really, really difficult, and you just, I know it's easier said than done, but you cannot get into it.
Exactly.
You can't compare yourself to what you're seeing online. Everybody's on a different path, on a different journey, and what is meant to be yours and what is meant to happen to you and your account and your success will happen regardless of what is happening with somebody else's.
Wow, that
So,
was like very profound.
it was very deep.
That was
Should we
really
just
good.
cut on that?
I think that's the end. Honestly, thank you for this conversation. I'm glad that we did this.
Yeah, this was amazing. And definitely tune in next time for next episode of Just Send It. And also let us know what you want us to talk about because we're kind of an open book.
Yeah, we want to talk about all things for creators that literally nobody talks about.
Yeah.
So throw your best questions in the comments and we will do our best to answer them.
Yes.
All right. Thank you for watching. Bye.
Well, that was not good.
Hold on. Shh. I got it. That was pretty good. Oh no.